Hi everyone. Yes, I know it's not the 15th. I'm just checking the date actually. It's the 18th, but we're close, right? We're close. I'm really sorry I couldn't go live on the Monday as planned. Oh, we've got beeping going on outside. Oh, it's all happening. But yeah, basically what happened was my car, it's not been making a great sound for a while, and I've been able to sort of ignore that sound for a little bit, but it was getting loud. I was like, no, this needs to be dealt with. So I took it into the garage, and the garage went near me. They're great. And they thought it was one component. So they swapped in that component. It was quite big and bulky. And then unfortunately, it wasn't that issue. So that then had to come back out, which means my car needs to go back. So actually, my car is now back at the garage as we speak. And they're trying a different component, which hopefully will stop the kind of like the whining sound that I hear when I drive. You probably don't want to know about my car, but I've got aircon again, which is so nice. I've spent quite a few weeks traveling around, and the weather's been so changeable here in the UK. It's been getting hotter and then colder, but now having some aircon back in the car is brilliant because I think we're in for a couple of hot days here in the UK. Anyway, that is enough chat about my car. You don't probably care about my car. What's been happening in university land? So I guess the big thing that happened this week, for at least for my students, is we had graduation. I think as an academic, it's one of the nicest days to get to go to see your students graduate. And I also kind of think it's really important that you do go if you can. And I know it's tricky. These graduation ceremonies are in the summer, and academics might be traveling, you might be going to conferences, you might have meetings, you might be having a well-deserved holiday. But for the students to have their staff there to kind of, see people, celebrate their success, I think it's really, really important. Oh, hi in the comments. I think it's really, really important. And I love it, so I love graduation. So the way it works, I don't have my own graduation robe. So some of my professor colleagues do. They have their own gown, their own hood, and their own hat. I don't. When I finished my PhD, I didn't think I was going to go back to being in academia. I thought I was destined for a career in industry, which I was for a good few many years. But then when I returned back to academia, I was like, okay, now I need to get myself sorted and think, do I need to buy a gown or not? And I decided not to buy a gown for various reasons. They're expensive. I don't know if you've seen the prices of gowns and hoods and hats. They're not cheap things. I don't wear it very often. At my university, there's no requirement to wear any gowns when we're teaching. I literally only wear it when I am going to give an award at the award ceremony, so going to the graduation ceremony. So there's not really a need for me to have my own. And also, if you hire one or use one that the university kind of gets in for you, you are able to have it freshly cleaned. So when it arrives, I've got a clean gown to wear. So the way my university does it, and I think many others do similar, is I'm invited to the graduation ceremony. I'm asked, am I going to be attending in the procession? And I can talk a little bit about the academic procession. And when I say yes, then I automatically get my gown allocated to me, which is great, right? And it's lovely. So when you are in the academic procession, you need to wear the gown from where you got your kind of your qualification. So while I got my qualification, my PhD from the university I qualified from, that is the gown colours that I wear. And so we all have, you've probably seen it, different colours, different colour hoods. You've probably got colours of yours that you particularly like. I quite like mine, it's quite nice. And then the best thing about having a PhD, I think, in terms of the hat wear, is that when you have a PhD, the hat kind of becomes a circular one. So in my master's, I had like the traditional triangle mortarboard. And that's tricky to keep like squarely on your head properly. The round one is much easier, I find, to wear. So yeah, all that, we process in like a procession up the middle. Is either in a cathedral or a large hall. You usually have these kind of ceremonies. And then when you get to the top, quite often the academic staff will sit to the sides or to the back, which means that you're going to be in people's photographs. And then right in the centre, you'll have the main kind of academic congregation party. So your heads of school, typically, any speakers, provost chancellors, they'll be in the middle. So it's quite nice, it's nice to see everybody all dressed up. Obviously, you often have to negotiate stairs. So in my cathedral, we graduate, there are stairs that you have to go up and down. I'm a big fan of the flat footwear. I know some people like to wear heels. I just like to make sure that if all these students and parents and friends and family are watching, I'm not going to be the one, to take a tumble on the stairs. So I always wear some flat footwear that I can get up and down comfortably in. The first graduation ceremony I ever went to, I made a bit of a mistake. So the gowns, or at least my gown, has like these long sleeves. And when you sit down, my little dog's tapping the door. I'll come over. When you sit down, I hadn't quite twigged that my sleeves were going to get stuck under the people next to me. So I sat down and my two sleeves are so long, they just kind of went out to the side, and then both the other people sat down, and I suddenly realised I couldn't move my hands to actually clap. So I had to sort of nudge them to say, could you just get off my arm sleeve so I can actually clap the students. The other thing that's really good about the arm sleeve is when you have these long sleeves that kind of hang off, your arm comes out the middle and then the sleeve hangs down. It can be a really good pocket. So people put all sorts of things down those arm sleeves sometimes. You might want to pop maybe a key for your office down there. Sometimes you might find a pair of socks down there from somebody previously. They're quite useful. I tend to have a little tiny shoulder bag that I put over my shoulder, and I put the gown over the top, and then you can't see the bag because it kind of hangs behind me. Or I try to wear something that has pockets in it. But yesterday it was hot, it was warm, the outfit I was wearing didn't have pockets, so it was a case of a little mini bag. And it's lovely, it's a lovely ceremony. It's lovely to see all the students getting their awards. I'm sure many of you know this, but they walk in as graduands. So that period of time when you've got your degree, kind of like if your marks have been ratified and confirmed by the university, that period between then and actually getting your degree certificate being kind of confirmed, you're called a graduand. So you go from being an undergraduate to being a graduand, and then once you've got that certificate and your degree has been confirmed, you are then a graduate. Which is great fun. And then, some universities do food and drinks and nibbles afterwards. My university puts on an ice cream stand as part of its kind of celebration. And that's great. Who doesn't want to have a bit of free ice cream to celebrate the event after the students have graduated? So that was all yesterday. And I sent a few pictures to my friends of us all dressed up and like, oh, it looks great, having a lovely day. And then, of course, the academic reality is I went straight from that event back to my office to resume marking. There's no real time to kind of I'll just have a nice relaxing day. It was straight back into marking because students still are submitting coursework and assessments during the summer period. I think there's this real misnomer that we just stop getting any student interaction or marking during the summer. And I don't know about you, but that's just not the case at all for where I am. So I look after a module that runs across the summer period. Students are out on placement and they have to turn in a literature review and an interim kind of report at the halfway point of their placement, which is around about now. And so I'm the one coordinating those placements coming in and coordinating the marking going out, doing some of the marking and making sure it's all ready for the next assessment board. So that in part was what I was doing and keeping me busy. But also it's really big conference season at the moment. So we've been putting things into conferences and, touch wood, they've been getting accepted, which is lovely. It's not always like that. You're not always going to get your things accepted. I've put stuff into stuff before and it's not gone through the system or gone anywhere. But at the moment, we seem to be on a bit of a roll. So I'm keen not to say anything against that. We need to keep this roll going. And the other thing, and I will touch on this in a future video because somebody's asked about the finances of travelling, which I can definitely go into how we are financed when we go to these events. But the other thing that's happening that's really nice at the moment is that my postdoctoral and my kind of master students are actually applying for their own funding, their own right to go to some of these events. Typically, this is matched funding. So, I've got a portfolio of some money and then we match to it. If they win their funding, that kind of comes together. And they're having great success at the moment doing that as well. So it's just really nice. Campus is back to being a bit busier again. It got quite quiet after the end of the undergraduate semester. And now, of course, we're in this kind of graduation celebration period. It's got busier. And then typically it'll get quieter again as we kind of go through the August months. And then September. And then before you know it, we will be back into teaching. I mean, teaching comes around every year. I have these plans of what I'm going to do across the summer, all these things I want to get done. And the reality is the summer goes so quickly. And before you know it, I'm preparing teaching materials again. So I'm actually going to try to start to prepare my teaching materials early. As far as I'm aware, I am teaching the same courses that I've taught before for semester one. So I'm not going to be facing kind of new material to prepare or get ready. But as always, there's a few things I want to change. I tried doing demonstrations last year in one of my modules for the first time, and I really liked it. But some of those demonstrations worked better than others. So I need to have a think about it. I need to maybe have a bit of a revisit on how I want to teach some of the material and the order for some of the material. This particular course, it'll be my, 7th or 8th year of teaching it. So I also need to make sure that I'm staying fresh and not getting complacent with the material. So yeah, I'll spend a bit of time doing that. And then the other thing that I'm doing, this just shows you what academic life is really like. The other thing I'm currently doing is trying to find a round table. I know, crazy, right? So the exciting life of academia. I'm really lucky that at my university, academics, so professors, lecturers, we still have single occupancy offices. And that's a whole other debate we can have about whether as academics we should be working in multi-space offices or individual offices. Personally, I can see I've been in both environments, and actually the individual office works so well for so many reasons. Student meetings, tutorials, calls, there's all sorts of reasons why a single office works well. But also I understand if those offices aren't being utilised and many staff are now working kind of like remote patterns, then maybe there's a push and a pull on it. But anyway, the reason I want a round table is I'd configured my office to be a more, I guess, welcoming space when I was admissions tutor. I'm going to give my little dog a cuddle. When I was admissions tutor, because I needed to have a space where students, their guardians, their parents could come in and could sit down, we could have a chat, talk about like life at my university, and they'd feel kind of comfortable in that space. Then I had my desk area, and I had my kind of comfortable corner. And then when I had students in my office with me, we could look at the whiteboard and we could sit at my desk next to each other. But what I really need now is a round table, because I'm no longer, doing the admission stuff. I am now doing MPhils and placement coordination and research year stuff. And I've got, PhD students coming in, postdocs coming in. I need a round table that we can just crash at with our laptops and our stuff and actually kind of code together in real time, talk through problems, look at graphs without sitting necessarily side by side on my desk. So that's what I'm trying to do. The way it works at my university, you kind of put the call out saying, this is what I'm looking for. We do have, I think, a furniture exchange scheme. So, my colleague has put the call out on that for me. And we will see, maybe I will end the summer with a nice new round table, because it's quite nice to kind of refresh the space. So when I'm going back into the autumnal months, it's quite nice just to change the feel of your office. I'm very lucky to be able to do that, really, really lucky. But it does make it nice then when you return back into semester teaching. So that's it, really. That is life at the moment. It's a nice period. Again, I'm still ticking through research grant applications. They're being considered. I'm still trying to write things. I've got some papers to get out with. I'm actually catching up with a PhD student who graduated a little while ago, and we've got a joint paper that we've sort of sat on, really. I mean, I could have, pushed it hard through the system, but I think we should get that paper out. So I'm revisiting a few loose ends across the kind of the next few weeks. But I hope things are going really well for you. I hope you're having a good summer. I hope you're managing to get that balance between, work life and home life and having some fun times away from the academic campus. Keep looking after yourselves. Thank you so much for all the comments on the channel. I do read them. It's really interesting seeing the different perspectives from where we are around the world. So yeah, no, it's really lovely. Oh, almost forgot. I also did some comedy. So a couple of nights ago, I did a stand-up comedic act. I was comparing physics with shopping. So yeah, that was a fun thing to chuck into the mix. But yeah, keep coming in the comments. I'll hopefully chat to some of you in the comments as well. And I'll see you over the next few weeks for a few videos. I'm going to try to hit some of the videos that have come in the comments requests. So if you do have a particular topic you've always wanted to explore or us to chat about, just let me know in the comments. But in the meantime, have a really good week. Take care, look after yourselves, and I will see you soon.